That's what I don't understand, Sammy. It's crazy that everybody's sort of disrespecting Dak Prescott. I was on a call the other night, and people are just running down Dak Prescott like he wasn't good or wasn't good in fantasy. And they're like, honestly, like Dak Prescott, along with CeeDee Lamb, one of my favorite stacks for the upcoming season. Obviously last year, Dak went through some injuries. It wasn't great. However, he led the NFL in touchdown passes in his last full season played back in 2023 and is the third highest deep pass success rate since 2023, which means when you add somebody like George Pickens, Dak Prescott is going to go out there and have an amazing year. And I think CeeDee Lamb, who is going to be playing with a legitimate wide receiver number 2 for the first time since they inexplicably got rid of Amari Cooper, just lends itself to being a great season for the Dallas Cowboys and, of course, Dak Prescott. So if I get CeeDee Lamb with one of those top picks in the draft, you better believe I'm going to be stacking them with Dak Prescott. But you know what? We got some exciting things to get to. So, Sammy, let's go ahead and start the show.
Welcome to our Fantasy Island.
Welcome to the Fantasy Island. Great show lined up for you tonight. One of my favorite people from the NFL Network who is actually embarking on a new challenge recently. He's going to break some news tonight, which I can't wait to get to. But first, let's take a look at some of his finest work that him and I did back in the day.
I can't believe Justin Jefferson's on IR. I don't know what to do. I just have to pick up a guy off waivers. I guess Robert Woods is a starter now.
I feel the same way. I had to pick up Latavius Murray after the Achane injury. This is just so unfair.
I'm going to lose so many games. You know what? I'm going to mean tweet Justin Jefferson. That'll show him.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, that'll show him. Show him that you'd rather be mean and lazy than actually put in the work to win.
Adam Rake!
Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? Fantasy football is so much better when everybody is competing to win.
You know what? I got some running backs. Maybe I could trade for a receiver or two.
Yeah, I'll watch the waiver wire hot sauce and try to pick up a potential sleeper.
Those are great ideas. Do whatever you can to win this week because
Laziness doesn't win championships.
This has been a Fantasy PSA.
Oh, the greatness and one of my favorite people, Joel Smith. Please welcome to the show right now, joining us. And those are some good times back then.
They were some great times. I don't know if I've seen that video since we filmed it, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Love to see it, though. That made me happy.
And it was funny because I always had you on to make you look like the fool. Like that was always my thing.
Every time.
Joel was the running heel, and then eventually at the end of the series that we were doing, we're like, oh, then Joel was actually correct once, and it was like a big momentous occasion. But listen, welcome to the show. Congratulations, though. 100,000 followers on the TikTok account for you. Can we talk about the big news that we have, by the way, or is that something that you want to break on your own?
Probably socials? Can't for like another week.
Oh,
but then
you can't talk about it?
But yeah, I appreciate the congratulations. I've been working hard, so it's been a good 2 years. I've had lots of growth this year, which has been a lot of fun to see. But yeah, excited for it.
No, it's been a lot of fun watching you really expand your wings. Obviously, sitting there working with you, you know when people are like, you see people come from the research desk and they move on to other things. You've been putting in the work, and I obviously going through the TikTok. So if you follow, it's Joel Smith, SMYTH. Follow him on TikTok. A lot of great advice. I did see this today. So Terry McLaurin ended up signing a deal with the Washington Commanders, putting that behind him. How do you think this is going to impact them moving forward? Do you think that there's going to be any sort of repercussions for him not participating in training camp?
I don't think too much. I think it'll be a couple weeks. I did a study like a month ago on the guys that were holding out and kind of how it affects them. Long term, there isn't much of a difference. So people that aren't drafting them because they're holding out usually doesn't work for those people. They're usually the exact same type of player. The thing is, those first 2 weeks, we usually see a slight dip. We've seen in the past with Melvin Gordon, Josh Jacobs, Jamar Chase last year, for example, even though there's a little less than this. But a lot of guys like that, they're still the same player, but first few weeks, about a 15-20% dip on average.
Yeah, and as long as they can avoid the soft tissue injuries that typically plague guys who've been holding out. But there is 2 weeks, so it's not like he's got to play this Sunday or Thursday or anything like that. He's going to get a little bit of time to get acclimated. Another guy who should get a little bit of time to get acclimated to is Brian Robinson Jr., who was traded from the Washington Commanders to the San Francisco 49ers. This obviously impacts him. It obviously impacts CMC. Is it positive?
I don't know if it's positive or negative, honestly. I think it was Shanahan that said it. Maybe it was their GM, but basically said, hey, we traded for him to be the RB2. I don't think he's taking too much work, which isn't good for Drendo, by the way. But for CMC's sake, I don't think it's taking too much work for him. We know who CMC is. He is an RB1 overall every time that he is healthy, basically. 4 straight complete seasons, he's been top 2 at least. So Brian Robinson, I don't think he's the same type of player that CMC is. Maybe they complement. That's the one worry, is maybe get some of that goal line work. But we're not talking like CMC's a bad goal line back. Like maybe he's not built like Brian Robinson, but he's still great in the past with that.
And I noticed something that you put on the TikTok a couple of days ago, where when CMC is not the consensus RB1, he kills it. What is the research on that one?
Yeah, I feel like part of it is just random, because right when people give up is right when he comes back strong. So he's had 4 straight seasons on now. Yeah, 4 straight seasons where he has been the RB1 or RB2 in fantasy when he is not drafted first overall. He's been drafted 3 times first overall, which just for a fantasy player is kind of a crazy feat to be the number 1 guy in ADP 3 times. But it hasn't worked out a single time. But this year, a lot of the risk when he's drafted first overall is, oh, you don't have a guy that you're picking until 24th or maybe 20th.
Right.
That's a long time to wait for that second guy if he's not playing at all the entire season. But now I had a draft last night rank actually that I took him 11th. I was thrilled with that. I think his ADP is around 8 or 9, which I think is completely fine. If he's going 11th and he can easily be the best player in fantasy this year, and then comes around at the 14th pick, I got Nico Collins, which I kind of think is another first round level guy. Very happy with that. I think he's fallen a little too far at this point just because people are so scared.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. But with Brian, did you get Brian Robinson as the handcuff for CMC?
I did not. It was one of those home leagues where my friends kind of just like play to spite me.
Yeah.
So I was going to. That was the plan. But guy reached on him pretty early to basically stop me from getting him, which is okay. I think he would definitely be the main handcuff. I don't know if it would be a complete 1-to-1 switch if CMC were to go down. I think Durando still would get a decent amount of the work, be more of like a 60-40 split, I would guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, would definitely like to have him still.
That's one of the things that, like, it sounds good in theory, where you're like, hey, you know what? This is great, because if you have CMC, just take Brian Robinson Jr. Tom Pelissero went to the same thing in his home league, because he kept CMC because it's a keeper league. He's like, I'm going to give up a first round pick. And I'm like, you're fine though, because CMC is still worth the first round pick. Just make sure you get Brian Robinson Jr. He's like, yeah, I'm on it. And then he did not do it, because I think everybody's sort of wise to that and doesn't want to let you have fun or live or do anything like that. Also, you also did this thing. Sorry, I'm getting questions. I put them through the chat, people. Do not text me directly. It's not helping. Do it through the chat. They're always thinking like, hey, I'll just send it to you. It looks busy on the chat. You're like, no, the point of the chat is the chat. I like you were doing a little bit of a panic meter, and you were talking about the Los Angeles Chargers. Greg Roman came out and said, look, the days of one bell cow running back is over. Is it time to panic with the LA Chargers? And who would be the guy? Who's the guy that we want from the LA Chargers?
I do think it's Hampton. Even when you're taking in the draft value or draft capital that you're spending on these guys, Hampton, for me, I think he's another level of talent than Najee. I think at this point, Najee is kind of what he is, and he's just a guy at this point. And with the injury, that was kind of the one worry for me. I wasn't a Hampton guy in May, because I was like, they drafted him first round, but they just signed Najee Harris, who's still like 27 years old. Like, he's not ancient. He's not like a super veteran. But with him being injured, the first guy that they've seen is Hampton. So it's not like they had Najee in the past. He's a guy coming in the same time as Hampton, but Hampton's the only one on the field. So I really like him there. The stat that I had the other day with that video, which I'm coming in to all these videos unbiased. I'm doing that research day before, like, hey, I need to figure out for myself, am I panicking on this guy? And it was that Dobbins had nearly 20 opportunities, targets, and attempts per game when he was healthy. So yeah, Greg Roman can say, like, yeah, it's going to be a committee backfield. Or else I don't think that means that it's technically going to be 50-50. it means that he still can give that number one guy 20 opportunities, which in this offense is plenty for me.
Yeah, 100%. And it was funny too, because when J.K. Dobbins came in, he did have some familiarity with Greg Roman, like being together in Baltimore. But like you said, Najee has no history outside of just playing against the Ravens.
Yeah.
There really isn't too much of an advantage for him. Like, it's not like they're old school buddies who've known each other for years. They've still needed to go out there and still find that chemistry and find whether he's going to fit with the Chargers or not. Because like that injury is really like bothering me, because it's like with him and Joe Mixon, like we don't really know what's going on with either one of those guys. And so it would be nice to get to the bottom of that. But I'm going to go with Amari and Hampton. Let me ask you, I'm going to throw this one at you. I'm sorry I didn't put this in the rundown.
Oh,
but it makes me think about this, though. I know you're fine. There's some people who you have to prep, and you're like, this is what we're talking about. Travion Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
I think you put out a video. This is how much I stalk you. You put up a video. You put up a video about like ADP. Like ADP doesn't update quick enough. You're still falling behind. Like we did a segment on NFL Fantasy Live where it's like, hey, which 5th round running back do you want? Do you want David Montgomery, RJ Harvey, or Travion Henderson? And I'm like, what league is Travion Henderson going in the 5th round? Because that was like 6 months ago. Feels like everybody's on board. Are you on board with Travion Henderson?
Hesitantly. So when we're talking like a talent level and comparing him to Ramondre Stevenson, yes. The worry for me is the Patriots, because it's not perfect. I think it is somewhat a committee. It's an offense that hopefully they're average or good. An offensive line that was one of the worst in the NFL last year that they've added to, but it's not perfect there. With Travion, though, the opportunity is his to have. He doesn't fumble the ball. He's an incredible pass blocker. He's an incredible receiver. So there's a lot of things that can get him on the field, where Ramondre, he can pass block. He's a good goal line back, but he did lead the NFL in fumbles last year. Travion is a different level of talent. And the transition for both Hampton and Henderson works for, from a football perspective, running back is the easiest position by far, probably, to transition from college to the NFL. Just what you need in the transition. It's not as much when you're talking playbook, whatever it is, reading the field, all that. So Henderson, he's ready to go day one. I just don't know if he's the perfect situation, because he's not going to be a huge volume guy. Can he pay off his ADP right now in an offense that isn't amazing? That'll be the question. He definitely has weekly ceiling. His weekly ceiling is incredible. He can take any good ball to the house. But overall, I would say I'm right at his ADP, but the guys that are reaching over on him, I'm not really on board yet for that.
All right. Well, I'm ready to be hurt with Patriots running backs. I don't care. I'm just ready to go. And I know and it's also spike drafting, because I'm going to be picking 3rd overall in our NFL Fantasy Live League, which means I'm going to end up, or 2nd, which means I'm going to end up with either Jamar Chase or I have so many shares. I have so many shares of Justin Jefferson. I don't know how, but I've landed the 3rd pick in so many leagues recently, and I keep drafting Justin Jefferson. Should I have not yet had to pivot to CeeDee Lamb once. Should I pivot to that? Because I feel like I have so much exposure to Justin Jefferson. Do I just keep rolling and can like all or nothing with Justin Jefferson? Or
at the 2nd or at the 3rd pick?
For the NFL Fantasy Live League, I will have the 2nd pick, which means I could have CeeDee Lamb if I want, most likely, or Jamar Chase. Like I'm going to get one of those two if I want them. Should I want them?
In 2nd pick, I'm been taking Bijan and Chase. I feel like are my clear 2 up there. CD and JJ are super close. I do have CD higher technically, but I'm not like gung-ho on either one of them. I like both of them. I think there's that clear spot of like those top 3 receivers, all clear path to being overall number 1. We've all seen it before from them. Then it kind of drops off a little bit from there. But if you want to go JJ every single time, I'm not against it. A little risky with the rookie quarterback there, but I am. You talked about Dak earlier. I think people are underrating Dak right now just because of the injury last year. So don't mind CD at all, too.
Yeah, that's honestly why I want CeeDee Lamb, because I feel like it solves an equation for me where that people are waiting on quarterbacks. So I'm not going to be tempted to jump in on Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or anything like that. I'm going to be able to say like, okay, I'm going to wait and see once quarterbacks start coming off the board, I'll jump in with Dak Prescott. I don't think that anybody would draft Dak Prescott if you don't have CeeDee Lamb, but I've been wrong before. And people do goofy things, like you said, in drafts. especially when they just want to
Yeah.
spite you. So,
Same.
so you know how that goes. All right, let's talk. Let's try to take some questions. Oh, wait, hold on. Before we do that, listen, here we go. Okay, you can win your fantasy league or you can own it. Too many fantasy champs will walk away with a plastic trophy or a sad little group chat. GG. That ain't it. This is crowned champs, baby. Custom championship crowns, rings, scepters, robes. You don't just win, you rule your league. And sure, your buddy's hosting a draft at Applebee's again. Meanwhile, Crown Champs is throwing draft parties on party buses, rooftops, even freaking yachts. Fantasy football just got royal. Go to crownchampscompany.com. That is crownchampscompany.com. Did I get that right, Sammy? Did I get I've got to make sure I get the website correctly. It's crownchampscompany.com for all their cool stuff, all their cool swag. You want to check it out. But let's do some questions, if we could, please. Here we go from Mike G. I have the number 1 pick in a 14-team draft. Is Chase the pick and build from there, or go Bijan and build around him? Yeah, 14 teams. I think one of the biggest issues, too, we need to know, how many wide receivers are you starting? Because to me, if you're starting 2 receivers instead of 3, I feel like that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, totally. Especially at that first pick in a 14 team, that means you're not drafted until 28, 29. The thing that I immediately thought of when I saw that question was, where is that fall off for you for running backs? Because in a 12 team, the round 4 running backs are good, but you're at the end of the 4th round in a 14 team. Like, there's not many running backs after that 2nd or 3rd pick. So that's what worries me with going Chase there. So I kind of lean toward Bijan in a 14 team, depending on what running backs you like out of that. Like James Cook, Chase Brown's probably not making it back to 28 at this point, but there's not many running backs going round 3.
Yeah, there's it's tough. I agree with you. I think I would also go with Bijan Robinson in that instance. You've almost talked me into going with him second in the NFL Fantasy Live League. But I feel like, so if I went Jamar, because if I went CeeDee Lamb, then Bucky Irving's probably going to fall to me at the end of the 2nd round, and then I can go get another wide receiver, Mike Evans. Although I don't want to take Mike Evans because I love Amika Ibuka, if I'm saying that correctly. I think he's a pretty good value. So I avoid Mike Evans for that reason. And by the way, this is tripping me out because I know for years you would sit at the desk on NFL Fantasy Live while I would be wearing my Spider-Man shirt just like that.
Yeah, put it on for you.
I knew it. I should have thought of that before we came on here. All right, how about another question, Sammy? Is Rome Odunze being undervalued where his ADP is? Could Zacchaeus be a sleeper draft winner from Bears Dubs? What do you think, Joel?
I like this. I'll leave the Zacchaeus to you. You know more than that in your Chicagoland. But in terms of Odunze, when you're talking ADP early, like it doesn't catch up fast enough, I think Odunze's ADP is too low right now simply because of that. I know you've heard the hype recently, but everything that I've seen lately is like, oh, is Odunze actually the number 1 receiver in Chicago over DJ Moore even? I saw DJ Moore getting some more running back work this morning, so that was a little weird, but I like Odunze right now. I've been slowly getting higher and higher on him, and it's one of those weeks I haven't been super in on because there is a lot of competition there. There's a lot of unknowns, but I've been getting less burden, a lot more Odunze, so I like him right now.
Yeah, it's been one of those things where, and it's also led me to taking Tyler Warren over Colston Loveland because who's going to get more targets? And with Daniel Jones as the quarterback, it's led me to that. And it's just way too many mouths to feed in Chicago, especially when you consider, DeAndre Swift also had 70 targets the last time Ben Johnson was his offensive coordinator. So it's really tough, but I do think that Rome Odunze is being undervalued. The only problem is I always seem to end up with DJ Moore a lot. And then I'm always sitting there. And it's one of those things that you do where you're going through. And this is what I was talking about with Mike Evans is you're like, well, I really like the rookie. I really like Rome Odunze, but then I'm always compelled to draft Mike Evans or DJ Moore. I think I need to start rolling the dice a little bit, taking somebody else, hoping that one of those guys falls to me. But then I'll end up getting screwed and I'll get nobody, knowing my luck.
Yeah, looking at the Ben Johnson offense too, I feel like a lot of people are very focused, maybe overly focused on who is this Amon-Ra St. Brown or
Right.
Sam, like those inside guys, and we just haven't seen it fully with like a Jameson Williams in that Ben Johnson offense. But that doesn't mean that it can't happen at all, I don't think. And also last year, Odunze wasn't the greatest in terms of fantasy football, but there's a lot of things he was going against. They didn't really use him the greatest, I would say. Keenan Allen's gone now. There's a little bit more opportunity, and he was actually last in catchable target rate. So with a better offense and better coaching for Caleb Williams in ways that they're getting Rome Odunze the ball, it's not going to be as hard of contested balls downfield constantly, not really the greatest work. So hopefully enough changes, and there's a bunch of changes in Chicago right now that hopefully changes for the better.
Yeah, I agree with that. And as far as Olamide Zaccheaus, again, we're getting way too far down. If you're in a 10
I've
or
seen the hype,
12
though.
no, I love it. I think he's a really valuable player, and he's going to be a that helps no one all-star. But at the same time, like week in and week out, you're not going to be able to trust it. I'm trying to think, like, because we do those comparisons, like this is the Sam Laporta, this is the Jahmyr Gibbs, this is this. I don't think that it quite meshes up. Not quite the same. I think actually, if you wanted to do that, I think the place where it sort of makes more sense is when you look at the New York Jets and you think about Tanner Engstrom being the offensive coordinator there, and you being like, well, Breece Hall's Jahmyr, Braylon Allen's David Montgomery, and Garrett Wilson's Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're like, I can make that one easier than the juggle piece or the puzzle pieces for the Chicago Bears.
And he's openly said that too. I don't know if you know that, but he's openly about Breece Hall and Braylon Allen being those two running backs specifically.
Yeah. So I saw a draft. Somebody sent it into the show today, and they're like, "Yeah, I got Breece Hall in the 7th." You're like, "What?
A little
world,
too late.
What world is this?"
People hate him this year.
Fair enough. I wish more of my colleagues hated him, so I could go out there and get him. How about another question there, Sammy? Corey B, thank you for writing in. Neighbors, Riley, Olave, and Mooney are my wide receivers in my standard league. Would you keep Mooney or drop him for a lottery ticket off the waiver wire like Ollie Gordon or somebody else? Yeah, Ollie Gordon getting some run down there in Miami. What do you think about that one?
That's a tough one. I do like Ollie Gordon, and the reason I was slightly lean there now is because Jalen Wright is injured, or at least dealing with something, most likely going to miss week 1. Achane too, but also Mooney still coming back from that injury. So in a standard league, when running backs are a lot more important, and Ollie Gordon is more of, say, a standard running back compared to a PPR running back, I kind of like it there more, especially Mooney. Like, he has the touchdown upside. He's a deep ball guy, which helps in standard, but I don't think it's going to push the needle really. And if you have those other guys, you're not banking on Mooney right now to be starting.
Yeah, when you're rolling down that first weekend of the season and you're like, hey, who's that guy who just scored for the Miami Dolphins? It's likely going to be Ollie Gordon. And speaking of your game day experience, where is your next game day spot going to be? Listen, if you're a real Chicago sports fan, and I'm talking about the Bears, Bulls, Hawks, Cubs, Sox, you need to be watching the games at the Twisted Shamrock. The place lives for game day. They've got monster TVs in the private party room, main bar, and outside on their stellar patio. Rowdy fans, bucket specials, and our favorite, the old-fashioned. Swing by Twisted Shamrock, where Chicago sports come together. I do know that if you ever have to go out to meet your future employer, because I know where he lives, the Twisted Shamrock. Oh, I'm giving it away. Lives in Chicago. There's a lot of people, a lot of employers who live in Chicago. Is it Barstool? I don't know. We don't know. I can't say. I'm sworn to secrecy here. But the Twisted Shamrock is a great place. How about do we have another question, Sam? I think we got a bunch.
Yeah.
I think we did really well. By the way, we'll do this when we could. Nino Pena, would you give up Dak, ATN, and Benson for Kyler and JCM? I really want the Kyler McBride stack, but is this overpaying? I don't. And you get JCM? Ooh.
The drum beat's been steady. The one thing that worries me is with Chris Rodriguez there, Rodriguez played in the last preseason game, but JCM was seen in that non-contact jersey. So it's like, oh, are they resting him or is he not playing because he's actually hurt too? Yeah. So I still have ETN higher just because I think ETN, he was an RB1 in fantasy 2 years ago.
Of course.
Like he had one bad year. I don't think he is fully dead or has zero shot of bringing that level of fantasy back, where JCM still is a long shot, I would say. I kind of see Dak and Kyler as even right now, even though Kyler's being drafted a little bit ahead. So I would rather stick, but I get having the Kyler McBride stack. Hopefully they get more touchdowns this year and that helps you out.
Why can't you go out and get George Pickens and have a George Pickens and Dak Prescott stat? Because as I said, Dak Prescott throws a tremendous deep ball. And I think that's going to be a big part of the Cowboys offense. I didn't mention that in the cold open. They really do have a chance to really do something special with the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to be good. I think that defensively, not having Micah Parsons also plays into this. Like, this is huge. Like, keep him out. Keep him out. Don't bring in Micah Parsons. We're totally cool with that. But dude, again, want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight for the Fantasy Aisle. We really do appreciate everybody. We're starting to build a nice little community here on Twitter. I understand that you don't want to tell your friends because you want to keep this as your little secret, but we really do appreciate. We've been getting tremendous feedback and tremendous crowds here on a Monday night, and this is something that we're going to be doing through the entirety of this season. I can't spill the beans, but we locked in. It's not going to be Joel because Joel's going to have a new job and be all fancy. We'll get him back at some point too, but we're going to have a consistent guest who will be joining us every other week. High name, high energy, fantasy enthusiast. Everybody's going to love. Might or might not have already been on the show. That's all I can say at the moment. But how about another question, Sammy? I just wanted to thank the crowd real quick. Loki, did I do wrong by drafting Tyreek Hill as starting in your flex? I'll be honest, and I'll be willing to take the bullets from Joel on this one. I don't mind him as a flex guy. I've been in a spot where we start two receivers and he's my flex guy. I feel very comfortable with that.
Yeah. Actually, in my draft last night, he was the guy that fell the most. I think he's ADP's 25th right now on sleeper leagues, at least. That's what we're using to draft. And he fell like to 42 or something. It was insane. Got to the point where people making jokes, but by the time he got drafted, it was like, oh, well, yeah, actually, now it's a good pick. It's like, so that's kind of where like a flex range would be, around that 42. So yeah, if he's your flex receiver, like he still has upside. I don't love him, but I can see that he's Tyreek Hill still. If it works out, it's going to work out extremely well.
Yeah, it's one of those things too, where it's like, it's so with some of the Saints guys, for instance, where it's like Chris Olave's been falling and I haven't taken him because I'm like, I don't want any part of that.
Yeah.
But I think Tyreek Hill has given us enough over the years to where we can trust him as a flex guy and realize that it's going to be a little rocky. It's not going to be as consistent as it once was, but when it's good, it's going to be really good. So I really like that pick. So Loki, you did a nice job. Don't fret. Don't let anybody talk you out of that. You did some good work right there. How about another question if we have it, Sammy? Double A. My actual question would be, who would you trust more to start on a weekly basis? DJ Moore or Devontae Adams? He says he's been rejuvenated with the Rams, but do we trust Stafford? I think that's the biggest question, is what are we going to do? If we're playing Madden with the settings, with the injury settings off and nobody gets injured and it's happy-go-lucky land, I don't think that it's much of a question because I really like Devontae Adams in that offense. But I think week to week, DJ Moore is a wide receiver one on what we expect to be a pretty high scoring offense. So I would lean DJ Moore, but I'm obviously a homer.
Yeah, I like both. I would say if it's a week to week start decision, if Stafford's starting the game, I would go Devontae. I've talked a lot about how I think this is kind of the perfect spot for him. When it was free agency, it's like, Devontae's getting old. Like he could probably be like a Jerry Rice Seattle situation here, which ended up what happened to Cooper Kupp. But he goes to the Rams, where it's the closest offense and quarterback style more to Aaron Rodgers. Like Matt Stafford plays a lot similar to Aaron Rodgers and how he targets his receivers, how he targets those first reads, his red zone work, all of that can do really well with Adams. He's just got to be in the game. But I think it does work really well. I trust Sean McVay, obviously. It's a great offense there too.
No, I agree with you on all the accounts. And it makes sense. I do like Devontae Adams, but if it does go to Jimmy Garoppolo, we don't like it. I mean, nobody likes it. Nobody likes it less than Devontae Adams, but still, it is one of those things. We're still getting a lot of questions coming in. Thank you so much for everybody who's participating. We'll roll overtime. This is usually a half-hour show. We're going to go overtime. Let's get through these questions because this is the big time week. In an auction draft for the first time later this week, does it make more sense to go top heavy with a few expensive picks or fill out the rest of the roster with bargains and try to be a little bit more balanced? Joey, thank you for this question. I actually talked to him on Twitter, so I won't give away where my position was. I'm curious where your head's at in this particular instance, Joel.
Yeah, a lot of my auction expertise when it comes to March Madness. So fantasy, I've done it once or twice before. I would say it just kind of depends on the risk of the player. I'm fine with spending a lot of money on one of those early guys. If it's not one of those guys, you're kind of putting all of your money per se in on that guy. And it also depends on how many of those guys do you really love deep in drafts that you can get for like $3, $5. Guys like, say, your JCMs or your Woody Marks or someone that is possibly a big riser now that Joe Mixon's going to be out this first month. How many of those guys do you think you can get and like? And then if you have a lot of them, you're like, yeah, I'll spend a bunch of my money on 3 guys then.
100%. That's exactly what I said. I said I'd rather have the big ticket item, and then I trust myself enough to go out there and find these hidden gems. Last year it would have been Bucky Irving, Ladd McConkey, and Kamani Vidal. And obviously Kamani Vidal did not work out.
2 for 3.
But that's okay. I'll take 667 any day of the week.
Yeah, that's great work.
And you mentioned it. So which one of the Houston running backs do you like more?
I think it's going to be Woody Marks. I have not seen a single positive report on Nick Chubb. So it's not my faith, not me being a LA homer because he's from USC. But I wasn't huge on him coming out of the draft. But now it's one of those situations where it's like, all right, they like him. He is their clear RB2, RB3, like top 3 running back there. And Nick Chubb, at minimum, is not really going to be the PPR receiving back. So you got an offense that could be solid. Probably Chubb not being the greatest behind a bad offensive line. Like, I'd rather take a shot on Marks, a younger guy, athletic, good pass catcher, that sort of thing, behind an offensive line that's struggling compared to like a power runner like Chubb. So, yeah, at this point, it would be Marks for me, sadly.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Woody Marks was the only Texans running back that had a rushing touchdown. He also had 4 receptions. So he got a lot of receptions for his limited playing time, had at least 4 receptions. And there's another young guy there too, behind Nick Chubb as well. I don't think he factors in as much as Woody Marks. 4th round pick. It's one of those things like nowadays, like back in the day, a running back drafted in the 4th round, you're like, he's never seeing the field. Now, nobody typically don't draft running backs outside of Ashton Genty till the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. So I think Woody Marks, I agree with you. I would do that. Okay, we got more questions. Let's just roll through this. Let's do thoughts on a trade I made. CD, Kyron, and Stephon Diggs for Nico, Amari Hampton, Pickens, and Pollard. Oh, I hate giving up CD Lamb.
You're getting Pickens back, which is interesting.
That is weird. Yeah, that not bad. Pollard, solid. You didn't do bad. No, you did okay.
Because I think it depends on how deep the league is, too. I think that'd be the moving factor. I slightly lean to the bottom, the 4 players over the 3, but it depends on, do you have 3 receivers? Do you have a second flex? Do you all those sort of questions?
Yeah, I mean, Nico and Pickens could end up having a good year. Yeah, I'm warming up to it. I love CD so much, but yeah, I mean, Nico, Hampton,
Tajay being injured too.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, how about at least one more? Draft grade: Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, Zach Charbonnet, Cam Scattaboo, Travion Henderson. Goodness gracious, one.
Lots of running backs.
Addison, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Kirk, Downs, Samuel, tight end Kittle, Kyler Murray. You know what? If this is one of those leagues where you start 2 receivers, I think you did a really nice job there.
Yeah, I like it overall. If it's a solid PPR, I think that's a big bump for Josh Downs with Daniel Jones now. Get a couple bumps there with Jonathan Taylor and Josh Jacobs with the news there recently. So yeah, I'd say B or above.
I love it. Good call right there. All right, how about one more question before we got to get out of here? I gotta go to training. Odinze or T. Higgins for next season?
For next season, ooh, that's a great question.
What is it? Do you mean 2025 or 2026? So for next season, Okay,
2025 T. Higgins, I would say pretty easily. So that's why I
Okay.
think he's maybe asking for 2026.
Okay.
But if it's 2025, I'm still saying T. Higgins. Nothing has changed in Cincinnati. He's still going to get a ton of volume there, even as the wide receiver too. They throw more than anybody. Very talented. For 2026, I would still lean Higgins at the moment because there is so much talent in Chicago too. So it's like, is Odunze the clear wide receiver one so much so that he's like way higher than T. Higgins in that way as the wide receiver two on a team? So I'll
Yeah.
still lean there, but I get like Odunze next year. I bet his ADP is going to be a lot higher than it is this year.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on board with all that. Oh, you know what? Let's do one more. I lied.
Yeah.
Let's see. Half point PPR, A-Chain, Henry, or McCaffrey.
Ooh. For me, it'd be between the last two, Henry
Yeah,
or
100%.
McCaffrey. I still slightly lean McCaffrey because it would be closer to the end of the first, I would say. So you're not
Yeah.
drafting him super early. But I would be fine with Henry too. He's been a top 4 running back 5 of the last 6 seasons. It's a ridiculous rate. I don't think he's slowing down yet. There hasn't been signs, at least.
All right, one more question. I'm going to sneak one more in. I want to thank everybody for leaving the questions too. I don't know if we have one more.
I got lots.
There we go. How soon to draft a top defense like Denver? I'm still of the mind that we don't go into on defenses way too early.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I saw one get drafted top 10 in my draft yesterday. But the thing for me is some of my friends were drafting defenses that I wouldn't even pick first. So there was, I think Denver's defense was like the 3rd or 4th defense picked in my draft. So I was like, I'd rather just wait and get one of my favorites as like the 10th option.
Yeah. You know what you can do? Just go pick up the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to be playing the New Orleans Saints in week 1. That should just let everybody draft it. Nobody's drafting the Cardinals. And they have a good defense that should be really good in week 1. All right. We'll do one more because it's not one more. We'll give him one more. Saw Amari Cooper just signed with Las Vegas, worth a pickup. Drop Mooney for him. Corey, I still like Mooney. Joel, who do you like?
I think it'd be Mooney still. Yeah, there's lots of opportunity in Las Vegas, but we just saw next to nothing from Cooper in the second half of last year with Buffalo, or at least he had 1 or 2 games. But besides that, he was barely on the field, barely getting any targets. So Mooney, by a little bit for me.
Yeah, I agree with all that. But listen, I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. We really, this is really, again, I appreciate everybody who's dropping questions. We got a great crowd here on the Twitter as well. So really do appreciate it.
Love it.
This is going to be something that we do every Monday night. And next week, our semi-permanent host is going to be joining us. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have Joel come back at some point this season. And then some of my friends from the industry will also be joining us as well. Some of my other friends too. So this will be a lot of fun. Joel, thanks so much for being here. I'm glad we were able to get it done. Congratulations. Look out. So go follow Joel on TikTok and be on the lookout. There's going to be a huge announcement within the next week. You guys are going to love what he's going to be up to. So can't say enough good things about you and what you got going on for you for the future. I just want you to know that I'm super proud of you. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you soon.
Well, yeah, I appreciate your time, Rick. Have a good one tonight.
So for Joel, I'm Adam. Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.